now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online bookstores everywhere today. Watching a Mr. Superboy video where he was talking about how your Rose McGowan has now come out as a racist. And this was no surprise to me because when I take a critical examination of your Rose McGowan and many of the white females who are a part of this Me Too movement, they were mostly racist and white supremacists who were out here looking to demonize the image of black men during their campaign, but the only thing that got in their way was their hypergamy. Now, the main reason why many of these women in the Me Too movement primarily got undermined in their campaign to try to destroy black men is because they saw your Gretchen Carlson get that $20 million settlement from Roger Ailes. And once those white women saw the bag that Gretchen Carlson was receiving from those white men, that's when they decided to change their campaign from going after black men, and they decided to take the name Me Too from Tanara Burke and push their campaign to make allegations against white men, because most of these middle-aged white women who had aged out of the Hollywood system and the casting couch saw that there was a bigger bag to get from these white men in settlements, and they primarily went after those white men making those allegations against white men. But now that all of the fervor of the Me Too movement has died down, and most people now know that the Me Too movement is nothing more than a fraud, we now have your Rose McGowan doing what most washed up white females do when the gravy train has run out. They go out here and they reinvent themselves. And your Rose McGowan has decided to reinvent herself as a right-wing type individual in her new image. So what your Rose McGowan is doing right now is she's doing what most washed up females do. They call themselves reinventing their image so that they can go out here and try to find other gullible types to make money off at their expense. Because the first way your Rose McGowan reinvented herself, after being this actress who was all about showing her body and showing how sexy she was in all of these little B and C grade movies and posing in magazines like Stuff and Maxim, was as she got older, she started to go out here and reinvent herself as this feminist, and she shaved her head. So that was the gimmick she ran as the Me Too movement was going on, making herself into this radical feminist. And now that that gravy train has ended due to the whole Me Too movement being revealed to be a complete fraud, and with many of the people in the Me Too movement siding with the left, we now have your Rose McGowan reinventing herself yet again, now as a conservative trying to migrate over to the right. And as part of her efforts to migrate over to the right, we now have your Rose McGowan now making her first appearance on Fox News. And as she makes this appearance on Fox News, we notice that that shaved head of hers now sports some blonde hair, and now she's got some makeup on. And as she's got her blonde hair and her makeup on in her efforts to reinvent herself for the second time, now she's making allegations that your Democrats are in a cult. But this type of allegation is par for the course for your Rose McGowan, who is out here reinventing herself and trying to remake her image in an effort to get people to still pay attention to her. And she's using this whole right-wing gimmick to go out here and continue to get attention for herself. But when she does this, all she does is show the world what a racist she truly was from the beginning. Because, again, the core foundation of the Me Too movement was a campaign to demonize prominent black men as black brutes and then use these allegations to destroy this black man's reputation, take away his financial resources, and possibly find a way to put that black man in prison the way they did with Bill Cosby. Unfortunately, the whole campaign wound up falling completely apart, all due to the hypergamy of these white females. And because these white females were hypergamous, they went out here looking to monkey branch from the black man and destroying him to destroying the white man. And as these women in the Me Too movement tried to destroy white men, they wound up hitting two major roadblocks. The first major roadblock they ran into was when they wound up destroying the reputation of Senator Al Franken. And when those feminists realized that they had bit the hand of those politicians on the left that fed them, that's when they started to get nervous. And that's when we started to see them back away quite slightly. And the second time that we saw them back away was when we had your Tara Reade making allegations against Joe Biden. And that's when the Me Too movement really started to crumble, because most people then saw the Me Too movement as a group of hypocrites. And that's when your Rose McGowan saw that the gravy train as related to Me Too was just about over. And that's when we saw your Rose McGowan go out here and pivot and go over to the right, showing us again how much of a racist she was from day one. Because if you're supposedly so tolerant and all about black people, you wouldn't have signed up for the Me Too movement, because the Me Too movement's core foundation was all about destroying the image and reputation of black men like Bill Cosby from minute one. And the whole thing that she talks about black people, again, if you're supposed to be all about black people, you wouldn't be talking about heading over to Fox News, a platform which is primarily filled with racists and white supremacists who push anti-black narratives on their channel on the regular. And when I look at your Rose McGowan, she is no different than your Stacy Dash, another faded celebrity who decided to become right-wing when the people on the left no longer had any resources to offer her, no more attention to offer her, and no more opportunities to offer her. And what happened was with Stacy Dash was she started to go out here and decided to start tap dancing for the white supremacists on the right and using their talking points. And what your Rose McGowan is doing right now is the exact same thing. She's tap dancing for white supremacy, and she's changing up her image to appear to be appealing to those white supremacists. That's why she's grown out her hair. That's why she's putting on the makeup. And I guarantee you, in about 6 months to a year, we're going to see a completely different Rose McGowan. And this Rose McGowan will be wearing a business suit. She will be probably out here with longer hair. And she'll probably be wearing one of those slinky long skirts fitting right into the Fox News program, because she's not about, again, stopping any sort of sexual harassment or sexual assault. She is your typical hypergamous female who knows that she's hit the wall. She knows that her time is just about up in Hollywood, and she knows that she cannot get any more roles from the leftists in Hollywood. So now she wants to monkey branch over to the right on Fox News and trying to sell whatever was left of her assets to Fox News in order to get some crumbs from the right-wingers' table, and she's willing to use the talking points that will continue to get her paid. So she's showing us that she was never about that whole campaign about stopping sexual harassment or sexual assault. She's just a typical racist white female who would monkey branch over from one side of white supremacy to the other, and she's monkey branching to these right-wingers in the hopes of using her name in order to try to scavenge some ratings and scavenge a paycheck for herself. And Mr. Superboy is exactly right when he says that your Rose McGowan was a racist from minute one, because she practically is one to go along with these people on Fox News and agree with these people on Fox News. Because most of your Fox News, if you really look at it from a critical perspective, is right-wing propaganda, just like your CNN is left-wing propaganda, and both sides, again, promote two sides of the same white supremacist coin. And your Rose McGowan is just showing us that she's just as big a white supremacist as any other white supremacist out here, and she's just out here trying to, again, get those crumbs from the white man's table, because she's already alienated those on the left. So now she wants to go over here and get the crumbs from the right. So when I look at your Rose McGowan and this latest whole thing as related to the MeToo movement, it shows how these females have no credibility whatsoever, because they're sitting here talking about they're all about stopping sexual harassment and sexual assault, which they really weren't about. It was just all about the money, and it's all about them pushing the same old white supremacy and pushing the same old anti-black narratives, only she's not doing it on the mainstream media platforms. She's doing it on Fox News, and now we know that we have, with Rose McGowan, another enemy of black people. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to try some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spencerella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. The man who rules the world breaks in a brand new partner to help him take care of business in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Taking Care of Business at paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.